All right, let's get started. We're going to be talking about for
Perfect.
sale by owners, the dialogue, the scripts, how to talk to them better in order to connect with them better, and then social media lead generation, the approach that we take typically to bring in leads from there or create relationships through there. First, I want to introduce Brian. Brian is a longtime friend of mine, Brian Curtis, and he's every time I'm looking to see what else is new out there in the industry for lead generation tech, I always text Brian Curtis. So Brian was the one that reintroduced me to Howard Tager at Ylopo and made that whole connection. So Brian is a good guy. If you're not following him, please follow him. He's brilliant at so many different things. So thanks for being on, Brian.
Hey, Tristan, I appreciate the opportunity and love to talk to the audience. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. And if you're listening in, we want to remind you that everything that you're doing right now is in practice. You may not get it right the first few times. You may suck at it a whole bunch of times. Trust me, I did. I'm sure Brian sucked at it as he was trying to figure
it out. A lot of stuff, yeah.
There you go. I want to start off with for sale by owners only because I do see an opportunity, more so in some areas, because the downturn in some parts of the United States is happening more so than others. In others, it's not happening at all. So it's interesting to see. And so there are more opportunities in some areas with for sale by owners than others. So the approach that we typically take, Brian, is we go to RedX and we grab the data from there, and then we start calling. Now, in the past, I've gone to Zillow, checked the for sale by owners there, and that's like the free version of RedX, right? Because you just go
right
there. But RedX really keeps them all in one place for me. And that's how I go. They have a script too. We have a script. Brian, I kind of want to play it out with you first.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to go first and I'll be the agent, and then you can kind of be the agent on your end, just so people get two different takes on it. And the idea behind it, everyone, it's not for each of us to stump each other. It's to go through the process so you see the questions that may be asked and how we go about approaching it. Because what we've noticed over the years of doing this, I've been calling expireds and for sale by owners since 2004, is the consistency. The approach has changed a little bit, so know that, and then we'll just go. All right, Brian, I'm going to use this. I'm going to just go onto my screen, and I've got my scripts ready. So, because I have a set of scripts that we came up with a while back. Obviously, it's morphed, but we gave this out last time. So this is what it is. Let me grab the link right now so I could just share it with everybody too, if you don't have it. And I'll drop it into the chat so you can follow along. There you go. Follow along with it. We'll see everybody jump up here. Brian, I'm going to just give you a call. We're going to go through this. It's about 3-4 pages, maybe 5 pages long. You can stop at any time, and you can chime in at any time to let us know what you think in your approach. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. Ring, ring.
Hello, it's Brian.
Hey, Brian, are you the owner of the For Sale by Owner online?
I am.
Awesome. This is Tristan with Happy Realty. How are you doing today?
Can't complain. How about yourself?
Good. All right. I'm going to pause there because a lot of people just streamline through it and assume that people don't want to be asked how they're doing. It's the opposite. People want to be asked how they're doing, and if they hang up after that, that's okay. We want to establish some type of respect from the very beginning, and that stopping and saying, how are you doing, creates that type of small step in the right direction. All right. So you said good. Awesome. Great. I'm calling about the home for sale on 123 Main Street. Is that still available, Brian?
It is.
Awesome. I have a few buyers in the area, and I was wondering if you have, and then I pause here, and I'm going to warn you here. If you don't have any buyers in the area, right, then don't use this, please. We don't want you to lie either, right? The reason that we do is because we have over 100,000 people in our database. So we have buyers in most areas that we're calling in. And the idea behind what we're about to do is a pattern interrupt that most agents don't do because they're usually using the same scripts that we've been using for years. And I created this specifically because for years I was getting, are you guys all part of the same school? I keep on hearing the same thing. And I got tired of that. So what we say right here, I have a few buyers in the area and I was wondering if you have, and depending on the price point of the home, I'm going to ask one of these three questions. If it's a house, regular house, entry-level house, does it have a formal dining room? If it's a luxury home, which we have a lot of, we ask, does it have a guest house or a separate sleeping quarters? And if it's a condo, townhome, we ask if there's a pet policy in the HOA. Now, these are the reasons. The reason we ask this is because this stuff isn't always clear online. We can't always see if there's a formal dining room. Is there a wall that divides it? Right? We can't always see if there's a separate sleeping quarters. I'm going to go with this one, Brian. All right. So excellent. I have a few buyers in the area and I was wondering, is there a pet policy in your HOA? I couldn't see that online.
I think there is, full disclosure. I don't have any pets, but I think there's a maximum, and don't quote me on this, but I think there's a maximum of 2 pets per condo.
All right. Is there any way that I can get more information on that? Do you have like their direct number? Because I do have a client that may be interested in your specific townhome.
Yeah, absolutely. I can text you when I hang up. I'll text you the number for the HOA, or I'll just text it to you. That way you can talk to the HOA guy in case you got any other questions besides pets.
Awesome. And if you would have said no, like in this case, no to the dining room, but if you said no, or there are no pets allowed, right? And then I'd say, no, that's okay. It can still work. Can you tell me a little bit more about the home, Brian? And at this point, we've interrupted them with something they haven't heard before, one of these three, that now they're going to talk to us. And that's what we've noticed. They're going to tell us now when we say, can you tell me a little bit more about the home? So Brian, can you tell me a little bit more about your home just to get more information?
Well, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo. It's city view. So, we're looking at the city. People seem to like that. And let's see. The house was built in 98, and we did some updates about 2 years ago. So we put all new flooring, and then we updated the kitchens and the bathrooms.
Awesome. So everything that was online, I just wanted to verify that. How long have you had it as a for sale by owner?
We did it, I want to say about 3.5 weeks ago, somewhere in that range.
All right. So not too long. How's it going so far with the market shifting the way it is?
A friend of mine sold their condo right down the hall from us, and they sold it in like a minute and a half. Obviously we haven't done that, or probably wouldn't be talking to you. So, okay. We get 1 or 2 people come look at it a week. I haven't gotten any offers that I find acceptable yet.
Got it. And did you choose to sell it on your own to save on the commission, or just because you hate all real estate agents?
Well, for the record, I don't hate all real estate agents, just most of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're at the price point, we're at 700,000 is what we got it listed for, and I start looking at 6% commission, and that's 40 grand. So I think I'd like to save 40 grand.
It is. Yeah, that's a chunk, man. I don't blame you. How long are you going to try to sell it on your own before you look at possibly hiring a real estate agent?
I was thinking that I was going to wait at least another month. I talked to several agents, and they told me right now, average days on the market is right around 50. And since we've been on the market for about 20, I was figuring that I'd probably wait another 30 days, give or take, for sure.
Got it. And with the changing market, it's really tough to tell where we're actually going to head. I have a question for you. Besides the commission, is there anything else holding you back from hiring a real estate agent?
No, not specifically. I think the commission's a big deal. And again, obviously, I want someone who's going to do something for their commission. I think, I've sold several houses, and it felt like all they did was put a sign in the yard, and I think that was about it. So I guess I really would like to have, if I do end up listing the house, I'd like to list it with somebody who's actually going to market the house, because, what else am I paying for, right?
Yeah. What does that marketing look like for you?
I'm not 100% sure. I do think open houses are valuable. And then I think online marketing, I think that's, in my business, that's what I do is, everything that we sell is marketed online. So I'm assuming some kind of Facebook or Google and some other stuff.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm not a real estate agent, but I feel like more than putting a sign in the front yard is where is a good starting point for
Okay,
me.
good. And this is right here at this point. Now I'm going to go for the close. It sounds like we could go further, but I'd be pushing it. So I think the close, remember the close isn't, can I get the listing? Have you interviewed any other agents? That's all great. And that's not what we're going for. We want to go for the relationship, and the relationship's only going to be strengthened if we meet Brian in person, right? Because he's already saying, look, I don't want to hire another real estate agent that's just going to put it up for sale and hope that it sells. I want to see the plan. So I'm listening and I'm going to say, Brian, we've got a plan on the social media side because we know that, look, and you probably know this, the most visited websites in the world are Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok's creeping up there. So we've got a plan for all of those. Do you have some time later today around 5:30 or 6 where I can stop by 15 minutes, just drop by something and show you what we can do, just so you're ready when it is you want to pick the agent to sell your home?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be home around. I should be home around 6 for sure. So why don't we just do 6? So that way we won't miss the chance.
All right. And chances are, on top of me meeting him the first time, he's not going to list with me the first time. He's not going to list with me the second time either. This is a very long-term play for sale by owners or expireds. Sometimes it takes 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. Sometimes it happens in a week or two. But the point is I need to continually show up and have a plan. So now I'm going to stop by. I'm going to give him my 2-page plan of what we do, really short. I am going to keep it short, connect with him, give him value. I am going to ask for the listing in person, right? But I'm not going to push it. I don't want to be that agent that's the car salesman, right? Because that's already who he's thinking of. So, yeah. Ileana, we're going to have we get a copy of all this. Don't even worry. One of our team members is going to put a link to where you go and have this. Tracy, our very first call, we had a pre-listing plan. It's actually 1 page of exactly what we do. I'm going to find that and put it up here. It's really beautiful, really easy. So we'll put that. Now, Brian, going to you. What does it sound like on your end if you're calling me? And I'll be just as easy with you so we can get through it and people can see what it looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. So mine will look like this. A ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Tristan, this is Brian Curtis with HomeQuest Realty. I'm reaching out today because I see that your house, you've got it listed to sell it for sale by owner. And I've got several buyers who are looking in your area. And I was wondering if I might just take a few minutes and come by and take a look at your house and see if they would actually fit the wants and needs of my buyers. That's all right.
Sure. Why not? I've had over the weekend, it was kind of busy. We had a few real estate agents stop by. It feels like even though the media is telling us that the houses aren't selling, we're getting a lot of views. So stop by anytime.
Absolutely. Perfect. So just so I make sure you're there, I appreciate the stop by anytime, but I've got slots available today at 3 and tomorrow at 4. Which one of those would work better for you?
I like that, dude. That was good. Tomorrow at 4, so you can give us some time. Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. All right. So if you don't mind, just so I can be a little bit more prepared, I like to be organized when I come and take a look at a house. Would you mind telling me a little bit about the house? I see it was built in 1988, and full disclosure, houses built in 1988 can look like 1988, or they can look like they just got remodeled yesterday. So would you mind describing any changes that you guys have done to the house?
Not much. I mean, that's kind of what we're trying to put it up for sale ourselves. We know that it needs work. We didn't do any of the upkeep. So everything is pretty original, maybe minus like a tub that we changed. So that's kind of why we're like, we don't have enough money to put into it. Let's try to sell it ourselves to see if we can at least make up some of that money that we're missing here.
Perfect. So, just you had mentioned that you had some people come over the weekend. Have you gotten
Yeah.
any feedback at all along those lines about what people like, what they didn't like, or about the price? Any kind of feedback at all? Just so again, I can kind of wrap my head around all that.
We got some people that said they'd get back to us. A couple said that the price was a little too high for them for the condition, but we know that, right? We're kind of just look, Brian, we're kind of throwing it out there to hope to see if anybody would be willing to pay the price for the condition it's in, but that's the plan. I know it's not a good plan, okay, but that's the plan.
I'll be honest with you, Tristan, it's funny because a lot of people and I talk to people like literally like yourself all day, every day. It's kind of what my job is, right? So, here's the good news. I think there's a perception out there that we are in a buyer's market. Like all of a sudden, 6 months ago, you couldn't list a house for, 10 seconds without it being sold. And today it feels like a buyer's market where houses are sitting on the market for 6, 7, 8 months. Here's some good news. And I just want to share this with you. We're still in a seller's market. So what does that mean? That means that there's still more buyers that are looking for houses than sellers that are listing them. So, specifically, we're sitting in about 2.5 months inventory. Just as a point of reference, 2009 was probably the worst part of the market in our market. And, we were at about 11 months inventory. And today we're at about 2.5 to 3 months inventory. So the good news is that still opportunity to sell your house. And we've got some pretty cool plans that I would love to just, if you don't mind, I'll spend 15, 20 minutes going over them after I look at your house. We've got a plan where obviously we can list your house. That's not why I'm calling. But we also have a plan where we kind of co-market with you. And it's something that might be an opportunity to help you without going out and spending, like you mentioned, you don't want to, the commission might be a little bit too much for you feeling comfortable at this time. And we've got some plans where we co-market where there's not any direct expense to you. So I'll bring some information about that as well.
All right. And after taking a look at the home, can you tell us why you think our home hasn't sold too?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll bring some comparable properties, get an idea. I'll be honest, I haven't pulled comparable properties for your house yet because I don't do that until someone says that they'd like to meet with me, and I appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Then I'll see you tomorrow at 4, please.
Perfect. Sounds great. Now I'll see you tomorrow at 4. So, do you want me to go over what I was talking about, that co-marketing thing?
I would like that. There was a question on that. Any scripts on your partner, Brian, on how the scripting, the dialogue, anything you can give deeper on?
Yeah, so I put together this years ago. I'm going to date myself, even though you can see my gray hair now. It wasn't gray when I did this the first time. So we used to use a thing called Talking House. I don't know if you remember that, Tristan.
I do remember that.
I actually used Talking House. It was a radio receiver that you put in people's house, and when you came by, there was a sign in the front yard that said tuned to AM like 1620, 16th, whatever it was. And then it played on a loop information about the house. So what we did is we would go to for sale by owners and say, hey, we're going to do this free marketing for you. And then what we'll do is before we let anyone come and see your house, we'll send them to our lender to get them pre-qualified, make sure that we're not showing your house to somebody who isn't even qualified to buy it. So we would run through this, and in essence, what we would do is we would do a couple of things. So now there's a modern day version of it. I use a thing called VoicePad, which is basically call a 1-800 number. And instead of having their sign in the yard, we put a sign in the yard that says for sale by owner, and it's got a 1-800 number with an extension on it. When people call that, the good news is someone is basically manning that line, even though it says 24 hours free recorded information. When somebody listens to the script, we don't tell them the price, and then after that they go, hey, if you're interested in more information, say yes, and then they're directly connected to an agent who's basically sitting on hold, as long as it's not 2:00 in the morning. So offer this to for sale by owners. I offer them our free marketing. We will post your house on Craigslist, and we will also put your house on social media. Why am I doing this? I'm generating buyers. So it's a free service, and that's 100% true. Here's the catch though, is that sometimes they let us do paperwork for 1% after it's done. So, you're talking about a $700,000 house that you get to do paperwork for make $7,000. That beats a kick in the teeth. So you get to do that. They don't always take you up on that. But the other thing is this, because a lot of sellers would ask me this, Brian, so you're going to show my house for free. You're going to answer all the phone calls. What's the scam? And they would actually ask me that and I would say, look, Tristan, here's the deal. Plain and simple. I'm really good, but I can only sell your house to one person. In other words, I can't sell it to 7, 8, 9, 10 people. So in essence, why am I willing to do this? Well, because if I go out and show your house to somebody and they decide to buy it, now I've got 8 other people who I showed your house to who didn't, whatever reason, buy it. I'm going to take them and sell them something else. By the way, there's one other thing that I throw in here. But Tristan, let me ask you this. How many people have called you who are real estate agents versus people who are potential buyers?
Oh, definitely the majority real estate agents.
So it's kind of frustrating, right? And again, I know I'm one of those people, so I'm kind of throwing myself under the bus. But here's the reality. This gets frustrating. You didn't put your house on the market, so a bunch of real estate agents call you. I've got a really cool thing that I can do for you if you want. And what that is I can give you a lockbox that's specifically designed that only realtors can open. And I do this quite often. And here's what I'll do. I'll bring that lockbox over and we'll go over it when we get there. But ultimately, the next time a real estate agent calls you and they say that they've got a buyer who wants to look at your house, which I'm sure happened over and over again. And all you have to do is say, great, there's a super lockbox on the front door. What time would you like to be there today? And what am I doing? And those of you, I'm jumping out of character here. But ultimately, if you get them to put a super lockbox on the door, 2 things happen. First of all, no other agent has the opportunity to sit down with them because they say, great, there's a super lockbox. Go ahead and show it to your client, because most agents aren't honest, right? What do? Oh, I've got a buyer who wants to see your house. Can I come over and preview it? They don't have a buyer for the house. And that's, first of all, don't use scripts. They're lying. Tristan already said that. So when somebody says that, I say, great, absolutely. There's a super lockbox on the front door. What time you want to come over? They weren't expecting that. They basically just pattern interrupted the agent. Yeah. The agent will probably stutter and leave you alone. So what am I doing? I'm keeping all these other agents from marketing to my for sale by owner. The other thing is this. Once my lockbox goes on the door, generally speaking, the only time it goes off is when the house is sold. So what does that mean? Either they did manage to sell it to just some random person who walked by, or they eventually say, you know what, Brian, why don't you just list it for us? And again, I'm consistently following up with these people. I'm providing value.
Well, it takes a while too, because the process you're saying, it's like, it doesn't happen on that time that you meet them the first time, right? Or the second time.
But again, very seriously, I want to say probably 30% of the time when I would go meet with a for sale by owner, they would allow me to do this. It doesn't cost them anything. Of course. I'm running ads. I've got their sign. And by the way, they don't have to worry about the phone calls anymore. Because why? Because I'm fielding all those phone calls and I'm pre-qualifying that buyer for them. So they're not wasting their time with someone who's got a 400 credit score and $12 in the bank. And if you bring them enough value, and here's where most people miss in sales is they talk about how great they are. They talk about what a great salesperson they are. They talk about all these things they've done. I'm always amazed by the number of people who want to bring, I'm the number one this, I'm the number two. They don't care about that. I can tell you right now, you tell me you're the number one salesperson in the market and you're making millions of dollars. You know what I think? I'm like, great. That means you'll give me a discount on my commission because you're making so much money.
Exactly.
That's my. So what can I do for you? Okay, I will answer phone calls for you when you're at work all day long. I will show the house because I know you're busy with your wife and your kids and dogs and all the other stuff you have going on. I will pre-qualify them so you're not wasting your time, energy, and effort, being out of your house when people who aren't even qualified will come in. I'm giving them value. They don't care about me. And I'm not trying to be a jerk about that. They don't care about you. They got their own lives to worry about. So anyway.
Dude, that's a good point, though. Psychologically, people won't care about what you have to say until they know you care about them, right?
Absolutely.
Caring about them isn't saying, hey, I'm the number one agent in my office. I've sold so many. No, nobody cares. How are you going to help me, right? A lot of agents think that us saying we're the number one agents translates into the client understanding that you can help. It doesn't. So I want to just show one thing, Brian. OK Hogan said that is definitely brilliant, Brian. So they love that. They love that. Remember, here's what we use, RedX. We go in, this is for sale by owners right there. It expires too, like we talked about the last time. But let's say I go to Karina, here's my script. If you forget it, you can talk about it. She's on the do not call, so we don't call, but the email's right there. Information's on the right. We would go to the next one in this case, or just auto dial. Some of you asked our previous calls. They're on here. I'll give you the link. And you can go into, I think this was our very first, I don't remember if it was or not. No, it wasn't. Or was it? No, we do all these PDFs for all of our calls. I think it was this one. We were talking about the pre-listing documents. Let's see if we have it. Look, you'll find it somewhere on here. Okay, I'll put up the link here. I'm going to stop sharing. There it is. Jump on there. You can get all the information. We didn't even get into social media, Brian, but
Yeah.
Mark
There's
has a question for you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The question is, do you then charge a buyer showing commission agreement if you do the 1% paperwork for the seller? So a couple of things. I do not charge a buyer commission because if you think about it, that person literally, the only reason you've got this buyer is because of their house. People aren't dumb. And so if you say, by the way, I'm going to charge you 1% seller and then 3% buyer, basically I'm listing the house for 4%. Is really what's happening there. So no, I don't charge a commission. I offer, hey, by the way, and by the way, do this, make sure you create correct agency in your state. And here's what I mean by that. In the 4 states that I've been licensed in, you have to create agency before you can do paperwork because you're not an attorney. Now, if you're an attorney, go do whatever you want to do. That's none of my business. But my point is, if I do 1%, I do a listing and charge 1% on that listing only for that specific buyer in case it falls out. I don't want to have to list their house for 1%. So, but create agency and do that. And again, why am I really doing that? Because I want the other 5, 6, 7, 10 buyers that I got out of that I can help find something else. And guess what? That wasn't a real effective strategy 6 months ago, but I don't know about you, Tristan, but I could use 10 new buyers this month.
Dude, I can use a whole bunch. Thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's why I love that strategy. I got another 3 questions here. Looks like we're not getting into social media. That's going to be next week. But Honorata says, are you signing anything with the FSBOs to be able to promote the house?
I have just a standard piece of paper. It's a standard thing that I had created. Basically, it just says, you agree to allow me to market your house at 123 Main Street. Very simple. It's a 1-page thing. It's nothing.
That's actually a great question there because I would say ask your broker right before you do it. That way.
Yes.
For us, for Brian and I, we've got different things, so it works for us. Cindy, can you put the other links? Cindy, yeah, you know what? I actually found that pre-marketing plan. It was in the link that I sent. This is what we would drop off. It shows what we do for week 1, week 2, week 3. That was our first call a few months back. So it's on there in the link. I'll drop it. Chuck is saying, what's up, Chuck? Didn't know you were on. So if it's a do not call, do you send out a handwritten note? If it's a neighbor you want to hunt, what we typically do is if they're not gated, we typically go and knock on their door. And it's a lot of the homes we're in over here are gated, so then we would send out something handwritten if we really, really want it. But we don't stop. Yeah, we don't call them. But we definitely hunt them other ways. And we definitely do that. Brian, how about you?
Yeah, same thing. So door knocking is your best approach in that situation, in my opinion. To your point, you can't always get in a neighborhood. Some of them are gated, but ungated, definitely do that. Handwritten notes. Also, you might just do a CMA. Put a CMA, a quick one page, not 27 pages. Or one, don't do RPR and get a million pages. It costs you $30 to send the flipping thing. But just a 1-page CMA, send it out to them and just thought I'd let you know, and and again, then we're gonna reach over them again and again and again. So
yeah, I love that. The link, the specific link. Yeah, hold on. Here it is. That's the specific link. I want to add something to that, Brian, and then we'll close unless you have something to say. But in regards to for sale by owners, when we're looking at doing this, it's all about actually just doing it. Half of the battle is actually making the call, screwing up what you're going to say. Hi, is this and then hang up, whatever. You're going to mess up so many different times, and you're going to get yelled at. You're going to say the wrong thing. You're going to be like, oh, why did I say that? That was so stupid. I've done it. I'm telling you, Brian's done it. You're in the middle of a call and you're like, why the hell did I say that? Right? It's going to happen. So just show up. because the more you show up, the more you do this consistently, you'll get better at saying things because they're like, oh, somebody said that. Now I know how to respond. And then you'll start connecting, and then these will start closing. It doesn't happen overnight, but the more you do it, the better you get at it. So there you go.
Yeah. Two final thoughts on that. First of all, absolutely, you're going to screw up. I love that, Tristan. And you know what? How do you practice? You keep practicing. So don't always practice on your buyers and sellers. Practice role play too. That being said, you're going to still make a mistake. And then here's the other thing I think a lot of people mess up on. They get the first meeting, right? And maybe they just, went with the script that Tristan said. And the guy's like, look, I'm not, it's going to be a month or two. And then what does a person do? They do nothing. That's the biggest mistake. You've done the hard part. You've got the appointment. When I walk out of that house, if I don't have any kind of a commitment for them, hey, Tristan, I'm going to follow up with you in a week or so. Just check and see how things are going.
That's it.
By the way, you don't ask them, can I follow up with you in a week or two? You say, hey, Tristan, by the way, I'm going to follow up with you in a week or two, just see how things are going. And that agent who calls once a week, every Tuesday at 3:00 or whatever it happens to be that they're making contact, that's the person who gets the listing, not the person who goes in and tries to hard close a FSBO. It's the person who follows up. You're building a relationship. And to Tristan, sometimes it takes months to get that listing, but I don't know about you. It's great. I don't know. This is how I feel about that. Once I've established rapport, met with somebody, the follow-up calls are easy. Hey, Tristan, it's Brian. Hey, Brian, what's going on? We're buddies now. So it's not a hard conversation anymore. It's just checking in. How's it going? And that's all you're doing.
That's it, man. We're trying to establish relationships. That's it. Ileana says, do you have scripts, Brian, that you can share, or that just all in your head?
I'll check, and if I do, I'll send them over to you. I do have scripts someplace. Full disclosure, after hours and hours and hours, I don't necessarily need them anymore. But that's just because I've done it too much.
You've internalized them. them. So
absolutely.
Plus, Ileana, this is recorded. It'll go up on that link, brillianttribe.com. It'll be up by tomorrow, and we'll just do our best to just show up. Brian, this was awesome, dude.
I appreciate you.
We'll bring you back, and we'll probably do a different dialogue or script with you. You're really good at those. Brian has a really good podcast called Cash Call with Dale Archdeacon. If you want to jump on that, look it up. It's called Cash Call. Just type in on Google, Cash Call, Brian Curtis, and you can find it there. If you have any questions about coaching, click on one of the links. Brian, how do we get a hold of you, buddy?
Yeah, find me on Facebook. I'm very easy to find on Facebook. I don't block anybody. Well, that's not true. I don't. Most 99.9% of people are not blocked. But yeah, as long as you don't be a jerk to me, I won't block you. And just reach out, Facebook Messenger. I check that usually once or twice a day, and happy to reach out to anybody via Facebook Messenger.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate you, man. And everybody out there, next week, we're going to do social media lead generation. So stay tuned. Sorry we couldn't get to it this time. We've only got 30 minutes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Brian.
Everybody.